I should have seen it coming the moment my cousin Jessica posted the family reunion invitation in our group chat. Everyone must attend. No exceptions. We need to discuss Sarah's situation. My situation. That's what they'd been calling my life for the past 6 years. I'm Sarah Chen, and according to my family, I was the cautionary tale. The daughter who chose a risky startup over a stable corporate job. The one who moved across the country to chase pipe dreams in San Diego's biotech corridor. The black sheep who stopped attending every family gathering and holiday because I was supposedly too embarrassed to face them. The truth? I stopped coming because every single interaction became an intervention about my life choices. It started when I was 24. I'd been working as a research scientist at a major pharmaceutical company in Boston, making decent money, on track for a comfortable career. Then my mentor, Dr. Patricia Rodriguez, approached me with an opportunity that would change everything. Sarah, I'm leaving to start a biotech company focused on targeted cancer therapies. I want you to come with me as co-founder and chief scientific officer. My parents' reaction was immediate and volcanic. You're throwing away a 6-figure job for what? Dad had shouted over the phone. Do you know how many startups fail? 90%. 90%, Sarah. Mom was worse. Patricia is using you. You're young and naive, and she's taking advantage. This will destroy your career. My brother Marcus, the golden child with his hedge fund job, laughed outright. CSO of a company that doesn't exist yet. Impressive title for unemployment. But I went anyway. I believed in the science. I believed in Patricia. And I believed in myself. BioNova Therapeutics launched with $2 million in seed funding, a small lab and 3 employees. Patricia, myself, and 1 lab technician. We worked 16-hour days. I lived in a tiny apartment, drove a 15-year-old Honda, and survived on ramen and ambition. My family interpreted my absence from gatherings as shame. They thought I was avoiding them because I'd failed. They had no idea I was building an empire. What my family didn't know, what I deliberately never told them, was that BioNova wasn't struggling. We were thriving. Year 1. We secured a $15 million series of funding round after our preliminary research showed a 73% success rate in early trials. Year 2. $45 million Series B. Our lead compound entered Phase 2 clinical trials with breakthrough therapy designation from the FDA. Year 3. Partnership deal with a major pharmaceutical company worth $80 million upfront, plus milestone payments. Year 4. Phase 3 trials exceeded expectations. Company valuation hit $500 million. Year 5. FDA approval for our first drug. Revenue projections went exponential. Year 6. BioNova Therapeutics was now valued at $165 million, with me holding 23% equity as co-founder and CSO. My personal net worth had crossed $38 million. We employed 147 people. Our cancer therapy was saving lives. But to my family, I was still Sarah who made the mistake. I kept my success hidden for strategic reasons. Every time I'd shared good news in the early years, it was met with skepticism and dismissal. When I mentioned our series of funding, Dad said, "That's just other people's money you'll lose." When I told them about the FDA breakthrough designation, Mom said, "Don't count your chickens before they hatch." So I stopped sharing. I let them believe whatever narrative they'd constructed. Meanwhile, I built relationships with people who actually believed in me. My business partners, my team, my mentor Patricia, and my fiancé David, a fellow scientist who understood the journey. I attended their gatherings maybe once every 18 months, always keeping conversations surface level. Yes, work was fine. No, I didn't want to discuss my finances. No, I didn't need career advice from Marcus. The looks of pity were almost comical. Aunt Linda would pat my hand sympathetically. Uncle Robert would offer to put in a word at his friend's medical device company if I needed a real job. Cousins would ask if I needed money, voices dripping with condescension. I'd smile politely and change the subject. What finally triggered the investigation was my decision to miss Marcus's wedding last year. I was in Switzerland presenting at a major pharmaceutical conference. BioNova had been invited to showcase our research to European investors. It was the opportunity of a lifetime. I sent a generous gift and my regrets. Marcus was furious. He called me selfish, accused me of jealousy, and told everyone I was too broke to afford the trip. Never mind that the wedding was in Boston and I was literally in Zurich discussing a potential $200 million partnership deal. That's when the family narrative shifted from pity to suspicion. She's lying about something, Marcus told everyone. No one just stops coming to everything unless they're hiding something. Mom became convinced I was in financial trouble, possibly even homeless and too proud to ask for help. She's probably living in her car, she told my aunts, who then told their children, who posted concerned messages on social media. Dad developed a theory that I was involved in something illegal. These biotech companies are all scams. She's probably selling fake supplements or involved in some pyramid scheme. The family group chat became a constant stream of speculation about my real situation. They analyzed my rare social media posts like intelligence analysts. Look, same shirt in 3 photos, she can't afford new clothes. That restaurant background looks cheap. Why won't she video call? It would have been funny if it weren't so insulting. The reunion invitation came 3 months ago. My mother's sister, Aunt Carol, was turning 70, and the family was gathering at Uncle Robert's estate in Connecticut for a long weekend celebration. You need to come, Sarah, Mom said on the phone. The whole family will be there. It's important. Something in her tone made me wary. What's really going on? We just want to see you, honey. We're worried about you. We want to help. I should have declined. But David encouraged me to go. Maybe it's time to tell them the truth, he said. You've proven everything you set out to prove. Let them celebrate your success. So I agreed to attend. What I didn't know was that the family had been planning an intervention. They'd collected money, $12,000 total, and hired a private investigator to conduct a comprehensive background check on me. The plan was to present the findings at the reunion, expose whatever I was hiding, and then offer help for my inevitable problems. Marcus orchestrated the whole thing. He was convinced I was either destitute or criminal, and he wanted to save me from myself while simultaneously proving he'd been right about my life choices. I arrived at Uncle Robert's estate on Friday evening, driving my modest Honda. I dressed simply, jeans and a nice blouse. I wasn't trying to prove anything. I just wanted to see my grandmother, wish Aunt Carol happy birthday and leave. The first evening was awkward but manageable. People asked polite questions about work with obvious skepticism. I gave vague answers. Grandma hugged me and told me I looked too thin. I helped Aunt Carol set up decorations for her party. But I noticed the looks. The whispered conversations that stopped when I entered rooms. The way Marcus kept smirking at his phone. Something was coming. Saturday morning, I woke to 17 missed calls and 43 text messages in the family group chat. Emergency family meeting at 2 p.m. Everyone must attend. Sarah, this concerns you directly. We're doing this because we love you. It's time for the truth. My stomach dropped. I called David. They're planning something, I told him. Some kind of ambush. Then don't go, he said immediately. Just leave. I considered it. But then Grandma called. Sweetheart, please come to the meeting. I don't know what your brother has planned, but I want to be there for you. Whatever it is, we'll face it together. That's what made me stay. Not for my parents or Marcus, but for Grandma, who'd always been kind even when she didn't understand my choices. I spent the late morning walking the estate grounds, preparing myself mentally. I called Patricia, who'd become like a second mother to me over the years. They're going to try to humiliate you, she said bluntly. Don't let them. You've built something extraordinary. You have nothing to be ashamed of. I know. I just hate that it's come to this. Then end it today. Tell them the truth. Show them who you really are. Not for them, for you. So you can finally be free of their judgment. He was right. I opened my phone and sent 3 messages. One to my attorney Richard Chin, no relation ironically. One to Patricia. One to David. If things go badly today, I'm ready to pull the trigger on full disclosure. Stand by. Then I went to face my family. Uncle Robert's living room had been arranged like a courtroom. Chairs in rows facing a single chair, obviously meant for me. The whole family was there. Parents, siblings, aunts, uncles, cousins. 23 people total. And in the front, standing next to Marcus, was a man in a dark suit carrying a leather briefcase. Marcus was practically vibrating with excitement. Everyone, please sit down, Uncle Robert said, taking charge. We need to discuss something important regarding Sarah. I remained standing near the doorway. What's going on? Mom stood up and I saw tears in her eyes. Real or performed, I couldn't tell. Sweetheart, we've been so worried about you. You've been distant for years. You won't talk to us about your life. We don't know where you're really living or what you're really doing. So you decided to investigate me? I kept my voice calm. Dad stepped forward. We decided to get the truth. Because we love you and we can't help you if we don't know what's really happening. Marcus couldn't contain himself anymore. We pooled $12,000 to hire the best investigator in Boston. Former FBI, 25 years of experience. He's been investigating you for 60 days. He turned to me with undisguised satisfaction. It's time to stop lying, Sarah. The room went silent. The investigator, his name tag read, James Morrison Investigations, looked distinctly uncomfortable. I really think we should discuss this privately, he said to Marcus. No, Marcus insisted. The whole family needs to hear this. We've all been lied to. Everyone deserves the truth. Mom nodded through her tears. We just want to help you, baby. I looked around the room. Some faces showed concern. Others showed anticipation. Cousin Jessica was actually recording on her phone. Fine, I said quietly. Let's hear what Mr. Morrison found. I sat in the chair they'd designated for me. Morrison opened his briefcase and pulled out 2 folders. One was thick, maybe 50 pages. The other was even thicker. Mr. Chen, Marcus, hired me to conduct a comprehensive background investigation on Sarah Chen, Morrison began. As a former FBI agent and licensed investigator, I take my work seriously. I conducted a thorough investigation following all legal protocols. Marcus leaned forward. Tell them what you found. Tell them about the fake company. Tell them where she's really living. Morrison's jaw tightened. Sir, I need to explain something first. When I conduct investigations, especially on family members, I have a professional and ethical obligation to investigate all relevant parties. Financial investigations often involve multiple family members, especially when... Just read the report, Marcus snapped. Morrison looked at me. For the first time I saw something in his eyes. Respect? Sympathy? Warning? Very well, he said. He opened the first folder. Subject A, Sarah Chen. Age 30. Current residence, San Diego, California. Marcus interrupted. What kind of place? An apartment? Homeless shelter. Morrison's voice was flat. A 2,400 square foot condominium in La Jolla, purchased outright in 2021 for $1.8 million. The room went silent. Dad spoke first. That must be wrong. Morrison continued reading. Employment. Co-founder and Chief Scientific Officer of BioNova Therapeutics Incorporated Company, founded February 2019. Current company valuation according to last funding round. $165 million. Mom made a small sound. Subject holds 23% equity in the company. Personal net worth, liquid and equity combined. Approximately $38 million. Subject's annual compensation. Base salary $285,000, plus bonuses and stock options. You could hear a pin drop. Subject holds 3 patents related to targeted cancer therapies. Subject has been featured in Forbes, MIT Technology Review, and San Diego Business Journal. Subject was named to Forbes 30 Under 30 in Healthcare in 2022. Marcus stood up. That's impossible. You're reading the wrong file. Check again. Morrison looked at him. Sir, I verified everything personally. I spoke with the company's attorneys, reviewed incorporation documents, confirmed property ownership through San Diego County records, and verified her compensation through multiple sources. Sarah Chen is exactly who she says she is. A successful biotechnology executive. He pulled out a copy of a Forbes magazine and held it up. There I was on page 47 in a photo from the 30 Under 30 feature. Aunt Linda gasped. Oh my God. But Morrison wasn't finished. He closed the first folder and picked up the second one. His expression hardened. However, during my investigation, as is standard protocol, I also examined the financial relationship between Sarah and her family members. What I found was concerning. Marcus's face changed from shock to confusion. What do you mean? When Sarah Chen left for California 6 years ago, She maintained a joint checking account with her parents, something she'd had since college. She also had a trust fund established by her grandmother that was managed by her uncle Robert Chen as trustee. Uncle Robert went pale. Sarah never closed these accounts. According to bank records I was able to legally obtain through my investigation, there have been systematic unauthorized withdrawals from both accounts over the past 6 years. Mom stood up. What are you talking about? Morrison opened the second folder. From the joint checking account which Sarah continued to deposit money into monthly, apparently believing it was being saved, there have been withdrawals totaling $147,000. None of these withdrawals were made by Sarah. Dad's face turned red. Now wait just a minute. From the trust fund, Morrison continued, his voice getting harder, which was designated specifically for Sarah's use and required trustee approval for any distributions, there have been unauthorized distributions totaling $233,000. These distributions were made to various family members without Sarah's knowledge or consent. Uncle Robert stood up. Those were loans. Family loans. Loans require documentation and the beneficiary's agreement, Morrison said. I found no such documentation. What I found was systematic financial exploitation. He pulled out a stack of bank statements. The joint account withdrawals were made by Marcus and Catherine Chen, Sarah's brother and mother. The trust fund distributions were authorized by Robert Chen and went to himself, Marcus Chen, and Carol Peterson. Aunt Carol, whose birthday we were supposedly celebrating, made a sound like she'd been punched. Morrison pulled out more documents. In total, unauthorized transfers from Sarah's accounts total $380,000 over 6 years. Under federal law, wire fraud involves the use of electronic communications to execute a scheme to defraud someone of money or property. These transfers were made electronically without authorization for personal gain. He looked around the room. That's wire fraud. Multiple felony counts. The room exploded. Those weren't unauthorized. Mom shouted. She's family. Family money is family money. She abandoned us. Marcus yelled. She owed us. Uncle Robert was backing toward the door. This is a misunderstanding. I was managing the trust. I had discretion. You had discretion to distribute funds to Sarah, Morrison said coldly. Not to yourself. Not to your nephew. The trust documents are very clear. I sat there processing. $380,000. They'd taken $380,000 from me while calling me a failure. While pitying me. While investigating me to prove I was a fraud. I stood up slowly. Sarah, honey, we can explain, Mom said, her tears now clearly real. We thought you were struggling. We thought. You thought you'd help yourselves to my money while telling everyone I was probably homeless, I said quietly. You hired an investigator to humiliate me in front of the entire family because you were convinced I was either poor or criminal. I looked at Morrison. Thank you for your thorough work. I'd like copies of everything, please. Of course, Ms. Chen. I've also taken the liberty of forwarding my findings too. That's when we heard the cars. Multiple vehicles pulling up outside. Car doors slamming. Morrison checked his watch. That would be them. Uncle Robert ran to the window. Oh God. Oh God, no. Marcus grabbed Morrison's arm. What did you do? Morrison pulled his arm away. As a former FBI agent, I'm still a mandated reporter. When I discover evidence of felony financial crimes during an investigation, I'm legally required to report it to the appropriate authorities. I contacted the FBI's Financial Crimes Division 3 days ago. The doorbell rang. Uncle Robert opened it to find 6 FBI agents standing there, 2 in suits and 4 in tactical gear. Robert Chen, Marcus Chen, Catherine Chen, you need to come with us. The next 30 minutes were chaos. Mom collapsed into a chair, sobbing. Dad stood frozen, his face gray. Marcus tried to run for the back door, but 2 agents were already there. This is insane. Marcus shouted as they read him his rights. She's family. You can't arrest family for family money. Wire fraud, sir, one of the agents said calmly. Multiple counts. Conspiracy to commit fraud. If convicted, you're looking at up to 20 years per count. Uncle Robert was pleading. I'll pay it all back. Every penny. Sarah, please tell them it was a misunderstanding. I stood there watching, feeling nothing. Or maybe feeling everything at once. Aunt Carol was crying. I didn't know it was wrong. Marcus said Sarah gave him permission. I never gave anyone permission, I said clearly. I had no idea any of this was happening. One of the agents approached me. Miss Chen? I'm Agent Williams. We'll need you to come to the field office to give a formal statement. Of course. You're not required to press charges, but given the amount and duration. I'll press charges, I said. All of them. Mom looked up at me, mascara running down her face. Sarah, please. We're your family. I looked at her. Really looked at her. This woman who gave birth to me, raised me, and then spent 6 years taking my money while pitying my choices. No, I said quietly. Family doesn't do this. Family doesn't steal from you and then hire investigators to humiliate you. Family doesn't spend years telling everyone you're a failure while secretly funding their lives with money they stole from you. I turned to the agents. When do you need me? Monday morning, if that works for you. I'll be there. They led Mom, Marcus, and Uncle Robert out in handcuffs. Dad wasn't arrested. Apparently he hadn't directly participated in the withdrawals. But he looked destroyed anyway. The remaining family members sat in stunned silence. Jessica, who'd been recording everything, had stopped at some point. She was pale. Sarah, we didn't know. Didn't you? I asked. Every single one of you participated in the narrative that I was a failure. That I was struggling. That I needed help. Not one of you thought to simply ask me directly if I was okay. You all just assumed. Cousin David, not my fiancé, my cousin, spoke up. But you never told us the truth. Because every time I tried, I was dismissed or doubted. So I stopped trying. I built my life with people who believed in me from the start. I picked up my bag. Grandma stood up. She was the only one who'd been completely silent through everything. She walked over to me slowly. I'm sorry, she said simply. I should have asked. I should have trusted you. I felt my throat tighten. You were always kind to me, Grandma. Even when you didn't understand. I'm proud of you, she said. Your grandfather would have been too. He always said you had a brilliant mind. That almost broke me. But I held it together. I need to go, I said. I walked out of Uncle Robert's house, got in my 15-year-old Honda, which I kept because it ran perfectly fine and I liked it, and drove away. My phone started ringing before I even reached the highway. David, Patricia, my attorney Richard. I pulled over and called David first. How bad? He asked. FBI arrested 3 of them. Wire fraud charges. $380,000 total. He was quiet for a moment. How are you? I don't know yet. Ask me tomorrow. Come home. I'll be waiting. The legal process took 6 months. Mom, Marcus, and Uncle Robert were all charged with multiple counts of wire fraud and conspiracy. The evidence was overwhelming. Morrison's investigation had documented everything, and the bank records told the full story. Uncle Robert, who had the most legal exposure as the trustee, took a plea deal. He pled guilty to 2 counts of wire fraud, paid back his portion, $89,000, plus penalties, and received 3 years probation with 500 hours of community service. He also lost his job as a financial advisor. His license was revoked. Marcus fought the charges. He went to trial, was convicted on 4 counts, and received 2 years in federal prison. He'll likely serve 14 months with good behavior. Mom also took a plea deal. She pled guilty to 1 count of wire fraud, paid restitution $147,000, and received 2 years probation. Her penalty was lighter because the prosecutor acknowledged she'd been manipulated by Marcus to some degree, though that didn't excuse what she'd done. Dad divorced her 3 months after the arrests. The family fractured completely. Some members sided with Mom and Marcus, claiming I'd overreacted and should have just worked it out privately. These people are no longer in my life. Others reached out with genuine apologies. Grandma, Aunt Linda, Cousin David, and a few others who acknowledged they'd been wrong to judge me without knowing the truth. I accepted their apologies but maintained boundaries. I'm cordial at the rare family gatherings I attend now, but I'm not close with any of them except Grandma. The money was fully recovered, plus penalties and legal fees. I donated the entire amount, $524,000 total, to cancer research foundations. I didn't want it anymore. It felt tainted. Morrison sent me the full investigative report. It was actually fascinating to read. He'd done his job extraordinarily well, documented my entire professional history, interviewed my colleagues under false pretenses, tracked my finances legally through public records and credit reports. The irony was that in doing the thorough job Marcus had paid for, he'd uncovered the truth Marcus couldn't handle. I sent Morrison a thank you note and a $5,000 bonus for his integrity in reporting the crimes. He wrote back, "Miss Chen, I have 3 daughters. I hope if they're ever in your position someone would do the same for them. You built something remarkable. Don't let anyone make you ashamed of that. Ever." I framed that note. It's in my office. BioNova Therapeutics was acquired last month by a major pharmaceutical company for $890 million. My 23% stake was worth $204 million. I'm now Executive Vice President of Research and Development for the parent company, leading a team of 300 scientists. Our cancer therapy has now saved over 4,000 lives. We have 3 more drugs in the pipeline. David and I got married in a small ceremony in San Diego. Patricia officiated. My grandmother attended, along with the few family members I still speak with. The rest of the guests were friends, colleagues, and chosen family, people who believed in me from the start. I think about that day at Uncle Robert's house sometimes. The moment Marcus so confidently announced they'd exposed my lies. The look on his face when Morrison opened those folders. Part of me wishes it had never happened. That my family had just been proud of me. That they'd believed in me instead of judging me. But another part of me knows it needed to happen. I needed to see clearly who they really were. I needed to stop seeking their approval. I built my empire without them. I saved lives without them. I became successful despite their doubt, not because of their support. And that's okay. I don't need them to validate my worth. I never did. Last week I received a letter from Marcus. He's in prison serving his sentence. The letter was 8 pages long, mostly excuses and self-pity, but at the end he wrote, "I should have been happy for you instead of threatened by you. I'm sorry I wasn't a better brother. I haven't decided if I'll respond." Mom sends cards occasionally. She doesn't ask for forgiveness anymore. She just sends updates about small things. The weather, her garden, a recipe she tried. Like we're distant relatives, not mother and daughter. Maybe one day I'll respond to those too. Or maybe not. The only opinion that matters now is my own. I looked in the mirror this morning before heading to the lab. Dr. Sarah Chen, Executive Vice President, cancer researcher, company co-founder, Forbes 30 Under 30 Saver of Lives. And I thought, they tried to investigate me to prove I was a fraud. Instead, they proved I was exactly who I said I was all along. Just not the person they wanted me to be. And that's their loss, not mine.